Welcome to Roleplay Rejects, where we play new and unusual tabletop role-playing games. This season, we are going to play Force and Destiny, a Star Wars RPG by Fantasy Flight Games. This is the podcast you are looking for. All right. Welcome to the Epilogue episode, everyone. So, this is the one where I do want to answer all of your questions. The whole point was to keep a lot of things in like the shadows during this campaign. But let's bring all of that to light now. So, first of all, I want to give some history, some backstory of...
Put your hand down. You get the first question.
No,
Yes.
This is important.
Okay, ask it. What's up?
Just to clarify, we're not doing any banter to begin with because this whole thing is banter, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure because, like, you know, when a podcast kind of like does a different thing and they don't tell you, and you're like, "Am I listening to the right podcast?"
Did I miss the banter part?
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thanks.
Yeah, we're jumping right
There
in.
you go, listeners.
You're welcome. I got you guys.
All right. So, some backstory. So, 7,000 years before the Death Star was a really cool time. Okay, technically lightsabers didn't even fully exist yet, but we did our own thing. So, the cool thing about the end of the war that just happened is when the Dark Jedi were exiled, the Force led them to the planet of the Sith. And they landed on this planet, and the Sith started to worship the Dark Jedi because they were using the Force in ways that the Sith species had never seen before. And so they started to intermingle, and they started to proselytize out to the rest of the galaxy. And that is where the Sith spawned from. And so these holocrons are now appearing across the galaxy because the Sith are trying to grow. They are trying to spread the word.
A good word.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
And
it's
this
like when
is-
they leave those things on your doorknobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Have
And
you
this
heard
is
of
like well
Jesus?
before the rule of two, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. This is
Oh.
way before the rule of two. Yeah. So this is before the Sith Empire, because there's a whole like 1,000 years where the Sith are in charge.
And correct
What?
me if I'm wrong, but there's
nuts.
so the rule of two, for anyone who might not know, is that there can only be two Sith in existence at any time because some Sith Lord a while ago,
Darth Bane.
Darth Bane, he
Yep.
realized that the Force was like a cup of water. And if you were trying to divide it into multiple different cups, i.e. multiple different Force users like the Jedi do, you're not nearly as strong as if you occupy it in just
Two cups.
And you
Yes.
have always a master and an apprentice. And usually the apprentice kills the master.
Yes.
Is this a dumb thing to point out? But like, so when they killed like all the Jedi except for a couple, they just made like a rule of two or like a rule of only a couple, basically for the Jedi
Yeah.
on
pretty much.
accident because they
Yeah.
were like, we're supposed to kill them all, but like it's kind of dumb because you think you're going to kill them all. Really?
You're always going to miss one or two.
Yeah,
Well,
like-
and the idea too is the balance of the Force thing, right?
Oh,
like,
that's fair.
ideally for them, like, yeah, let's kill all of them because they don't have our goodness gracious, how many times can I say ideal? They don't have our same like
Thought process.
thought process and like
Moral compass.
Yeah, but like realistically, getting rid of a bunch of the Jedi brings balance to the Force, right? Like
Yeah.
that's one of those things that they talk about in the Skywalker saga, where it's like Anakin did bring balance to the Force, like
Yeah,
kill all the
technically.
Careful what you
younglings,
wish
but
for.
like
Some monkey's paw stuff.
yeah.
And I think it's also why Luke was so quickly strong enough to like contend with like with
Oh,
Vader and the
yeah.
Emperor.
Especially it was
and
one
all
of
that.
very few cups.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You had a question though. You had a burning question in your soul. Your
Sure,
hand was up.
It was already.
That was
Banter.
to make sure we weren't doing banter.
All right.
It was very important. You're right.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure people knew that one because I thought it's probably the coolest piece of lore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then some underlying like political stuff, because I like all the political garbage. That's part of the reason I like watching Star Wars over a lot of other sci-fi. So the Wookiees gave Trandosha a large infrastructure loan during the war, and they were mining the belt for Cortosis. And now that the war was over, the loan was coming due, and Trandosha couldn't pay. And so, Bay and his people were fighting against that, like financial, like servitude, and Tahani Al Grask's party were all of the Trandoshans that were like making money off of it. And then the Vissers were like the old timey, like, this is our land types. Okay.
So Bay was kind of in the right.
Yeah.
But he was a cool guy.
Now he was a little bit of an extremist.
Oh yeah, definitely an
Yeah.
extremist. I'm wondering, did he do the bomb?
No. So all
They
of
said
the
it was that other dude.
So the first bomb that was like trying to kill Bay was actually Tahani's
I
people.
knew it.
Yep.
Oh,
I
son of
didn't
a
know it,
bitch.
but I had like this little thing in my heart. I was like, Tahani, he's dirty. I don't know why he's dirty, but he's dirty. Makes
I feel
sense.
like you've said this exact thing.
I might have.
Like it's just proven you right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. History.
No, we're now into like during the campaign,
Oh.
and Tahani's people were, they were selling the weapons to the Wookiees, and the Wookiees were giving him poorly made replicas like that dart that you guys found.
That's
Ah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, so he was like, I'm gonna kill Visser too.
Yeah. So he was trying to take out
What
both of
idiot.
his.
Okay, so the Wahid that was with us, was that the OG Wahid or was that a clone?
Yeah, that was the OG Wahid.
Okay.
She wasn't confident enough in her clones to try and like transfer her essence, but since she was dying anyway,
Out of desperation.
yeah, she was figuring it out.
Oh God.
So Tahani
It's
is
just
the
a
dart
dirty
maker.
cheater.
Yes.
What an asshole. I didn't like him. I want that on the record. I never liked him.
So that whole Mandalore arc was just misdirect.
Yeah, and it gave you guys some
Cash in our pockets.
gave you some cash, gave you some backstory,
Some legs.
That
some legs. Yeah.
was a cool part of the story. And we got to see Setch.
Yeah.
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 Oh, and the fucking cool arena stuff.
Yeah, that was
like,
really
oh.
cool. I like Setch. I know I probably
I
won't.
hope Setch is
I hope
doing
Senya
okay.
bumps into her again somewhere and can be like, hey, I killed your mom. Your grandma? No, I know.
Mom.
You thought your mom was dead.
She
She,
would
wasn't.
She'd
She
probably
is now.
buy you a beer.
No, I just want one of those
If I saw her again, I'd Sour Hut.
yeah, the sour drink that
Oh,
Master
yeah,
Fon
yeah.
bought me the one time.
Yeah.
If I see Setch again, I'm giving her the ring. And then I have to remember to put like a breather on in space.
Can you imagine just forgetting that?
That's the reason you die. Like,
You're like, oh,
oh no,
immediate death.
I forgot. I'm in space. This is called Star Wars. Got it.
Cool.
Yeah. And a lot of my campaign planning came from How to Be a Great GM. It's a great YouTube channel.
Guy's the best.
Yeah, he's amazing. And really helped me get a good structure going. because he recommends having your bad guy, like, first of all, they have to have a good
Why?
why,
Mhm.
right? So Wahid Visser wanted to become the Sithari before any peace treaty between Trandoshan and Kashyyyk. And she was having trouble because cloning is outlawed in the Republic, and her experiments were illegal. And so from there, she had to test the clones, she had to test machines. The Republic was banning everything, and it gave me a lot of good. His channel gave me a lot of good pointers as to like having minor bosses before you meet the big bad, and having that kind of misdirect where you think you're fighting the end boss and then the big bad shows up. Like, a lot of great pointers on there. Highly recommend him for all you GMs or aspiring GMs out there.
Yeah, I need to watch more of his videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he goes all the way from like full campaign creation down to like, now you're just a player character. How do you make your rogue more interesting? And like throws in a little bit of like, these are the stereotypes, and this is how you can subvert some of those, or maybe you want to lean into some of those. Like, it's a really good channel.
I actually, he did something about like different GM styles and like game prep and everything. And,
Yes.
he also pointed out the it's like loose prep, so you just have an outline and then you just fucking wing it from there. And
Yeah.
that is my bread and butter.
I love stuff like that because
Yeah.
it's like it's very easy to over prep as a GM, right? And then as soon as one or two players wants to do something you didn't prepare for, like you're very obviously firing from the hip from there, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But some people are better than it than others, and I feel like if you lose prep because you're already planning to like have that level of variety or like variability, then it's like, okay, like I have the general like characters and area set up, so no matter what they do, I know how like it might affect the environment or the NPCs.
Yeah,
they're
well,
interacting with.
in some of the games that I run for you guys, I wait for you to tell me what you guys think, and I'm like, that's a good idea. That's what it is.
Right? I almost did that. What was it, like 2 sessions ago? What was it that you guys brought up?
2 sessions ago, we were on the ship still.
I said something, I think,
Yeah,
and you were
what
like,
was
"I'm
it?
totally not stealing that," like jokingly, because you were like, I don't remember what it was though.
Yeah.
we'll listen back.
I was like,
if only
man,
we
that would
had
have added
some
like
kind of-
3 sessions. I don't remember what it was,
Yeah.
but I was
Yep,
like, man,
like
that was.
literally any context, or
nope. It just something. Someone said something cool, and he was like, "Ah, sick."
I should have thought of that.
man,
Yeah.
this is gonna bother me now.
Yeah. I'll go back and listen to it.
We'll eventually hear it.
Do we know did the Moss was that like? Is there a plot point to that, or is that just something cool you thought of?
So, yes and no. So,
Yeah, wait, I never got my test samples back.
test samples. Oh yeah.
I collected them.
They're in your
I
bag.
assume I submitted them.
I guess it would have been after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the same day.
Yeah, it is.
It
the
is
same.
actually.
So you
Yes.
will.
Hours later.
This is you getting your test samples back.
So when I originally built the campaign like months ago, I actually wanted to start out with you all coming across the ship,
Cool.
and
Oh.
I couldn't find a way to make it happen naturally without it feeling like here's another intro and then another intro and then another intro, and so the ship was going to be one of those like tippers, like something bad's happening out there, and the moss was like a biological weapon, so if it had hit the asteroid,
Oh shit.
then it would have infected like anyone who was dead or close to dying on the asteroid.
That's fucked.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm
Yeah.
cool. We dodged that one.
Yeah.
I would have felt really bad.
Glad we exploded it.
Yeah.
Oh, what experiments were going on the guys in the cryo?
Oh
pods?
yeah. So that was Wahid and Arba, but Arba was testing to see how easy it was to manipulate the genes of each of the species, and she found that Trandoshan genes, because they can regrow limbs, are very very easily replicated and duplicated. And so while people without the Force can like take in some of those genes, it eats away at the brain. And so the original subject got massive and it got hungry and ate the human.
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll do it, yeah.
So the original was Trandoshan,
Yes.
but not Force sensitive.
Yes.
Sensitive.
And Wahid is the one who put Zenith on our ship too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he
That's
also was not Force sensitive.
Ah, okay.
Right, he was like the only one.
Yeah. And he was trying to steal Jedi
My.
holocrons along with other Jedi artifacts for his mother. But he was not very good at it.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, so cutting off the hands was just kind of a show, really.
I think it was a punishment for failure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, she was mad that he had failed. And
He was a bad thief.
And brought 4 Jedi to her doors when she was
Yeah.
doing
Yeah,
very
that's fair.
illegal. Yeah.
I mean,
no.
but we were gonna be there anyway.
I mean, not necessarily. You wanted to go somewhere else completely at first, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I wanted to go to Kashyyyk, but like,
We never got to go to Kashyyyk.
yeah.
By the
which
time
way
we got in
prettier
there,
than
if not
Trandoshan.
for Homeboy, there could have been 18 mutant
Isn't
mecha.
Trandoshan like jungles though?
Wahid.
That's pretty.
Yeah, but like Kashyyyk is like forests.
yeah.
So we're jungles.
Kashyyyk has a bunch of like super trees.
But are they like
They're
temperate
really
forests?
cool.
Yeah.
Temperate rainforest
Yeah.
type things.
Do you have any other
Okay, those
plot
are the best.
questions? I don't think I do.
Honestly, this last
Is
like,
Tahani still president?
Yeah.
Like after this? Like is he okay?
I don't
Yeah.
care if he's okay.
I mean,
He's
I don't
an
either,
asshole. He
but-
tried to kill everybody.
I care about Trandosha and like the current state of affairs.
Yeah. And if you guys want to throw like getting him to justice or whatever into your epilogue
Epilogue.
stories, you totally can.
Okay. I mean, that's a
Well,
them thing. I don't give
Yeah.
a shit. I hate Trandosha. I never want to come to this stupid planet again. Respectfully. No offense to our Trandoshan listeners.
fuck, man. It's just
I was hoping Daisy and Sienna could become friends, but if we can do like dark side shit, I don't think that's gonna work.
We can't. I mean, that's like way later. At least in my brain. Like that event wouldn't happen until like a couple of years down the line.
Yeah.
Or maybe sooner. I don't know.
Oh, also, a lot of the names are just so I stole a lot of things from Arabic because Star Wars likes using other cultures. And so a lot of the names are just numbers in Arabic. So Wahid is number 1.
Oh.
Yeah. Sech is number 7.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
it was actually
So I just
That's
grabbed the
sick.
numbers that sounded like good names. Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
badass.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know why. I really
Would've
like
known,
that.
yeah.
yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
these are
then
some interesting names, but-
the little chant that Arba was doing is very badly translated, like Google Translate level. It says the Sithari will be the king of Trandosha, like the Sithari is my king.
That's a pretty badass chant.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Neato.
other information did that first holocron that we opened actually have? Did it have anything more than just being enticing?
No, it was pretty much trying to like corrupt you all and just letting you guys know like the Sithari is out there. The Sithari is one person, and like the whole point is like to gain control over the Force. Yeah, it was a Sith pamphlet, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So Wahid at this point, right, like at the end of the campaign, is she the Sithari, or does she just feel so strong that she can claim that title?
She feels like she can claim that title. Yeah.
What exactly was her fucking plan at this point?
Yeah, like,
She's OP.
Yeah. So,
I didn't even think about that. Like, I am
She's like-
large.
Turned into Godzilla.
I imagine
Now
she
what?
was just gonna make herself perfect and then make perfect clones of her perfect self.
Huh?
That's how it went in my brain. I don't know if
yeah,
that's
she was
actually what
like
it
on the way to finishing up her army. She was the one throwing ships at the asteroids and like blowing things up out there.
Shit.
It like Bay and Tahani were blaming each other, but it was her and like her clones
Imagine
suiciding themselves into
Jesus.
Okay.
stuff. Yeah.
being so full of yourself that you just are like, you know, it would be perfect an army of me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wait,
Only
and
I can
were
fight
there
like
only
me.
clones of Wahid, or were there like clones of Arba
Was
too?
Arba
Like, was she trying to get
originally cloned?
Setch to come back to clone her? Like, how?
Yes.
What was all that?
So the named Vissers were all like natural born. They weren't clones. But the other like nameless Vissers were clones.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she was trying to get Setch to come back for better genetic material now that she was falling apart.
Oh no.
Damn.
Damn. What would have happened if I cut the cables I was connecting Visser? Like Wahid, I mean.
Honestly, as GM, I wouldn't have let you derail that last encounter.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
So I probably just would have head started it and you cut them off and then it appears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like it was too late at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine we go downstairs, we just see this dead on the ground, and we're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Good thing we didn't have to fight that.
Yikes!
That would've
One
been
of us
bad.
could have gotten knocked unconscious.
Is that lightning?
Oh,
man.
fucking A.
Oh yeah, and that was going to be my next question too. In your head canon, was it actually possible for her to be the Sithari, or be? So the reason I ask, right,
Yeah.
is because a lot of the time in Star Wars you hear like, if you're not Force sensitive, then like you like can't interact with the Force or whatever, and a lot of times there's like the whole idea that like droids can't, they're not Force sensitive, like they can't because they're just AIs or whatever. So like at what point is she, because she obviously was still using the Force in our final battle, but like she's continuously augmenting herself with things that are unorganic.
Yes.
So like at what point would the Sith decide that she's not
The one.
the one anymore? You know what I mean? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Well, I don't know. Wasn't Darth Vader like
Mostly
pretty
machine.
machiney?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, that one dude with the 4 arms, right? The Spider Boy.
Oh, he didn't have any force sensitivity. I
Oh.
don't think.
He was
Yeah.
just like,
He was just a fighty boy. Okay.
Yeah.
But Darth Vader also had like a major connection to the Force before turning into
Before melting.
Darth Vader.
Yeah. So in my head canon, the Vissers were they were royalty because they had the Force in their bloodline. And so they'd been using it for centuries to get their way.
Yeah.
Get the edge, right? Like they
Yeah.
probably do well on every hunt because they're the only hunters that with
Yeah.
force powers, right?
And because of that, they like considered themselves like a
Superior.
better species, a superior race of Trandoshans.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with her like augmenting herself and trying to become the Sithari. So in my head canon, the Sithari is kind of a myth.
It's like a goal people go for,
yeah.
but you never actually achieve it.
Exactly. You'll never be able to control the Force
Like that.
100%, right? Like you can bend it to your will in some ways, but then it lashes back.
Bounces back, yeah.
Yeah. So that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just pontificating at this point.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you prepped that we missed?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
Like
question.
that's a good
encounters.
Yeah, just like
completely?
encounters or
Or,
like
like,
going to a certain
storylines.
area.
Dialogue.
or-
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Yeah.
I want to start this with, you said that you had several different things prepared on Mandalore, but you wanted us to go to the Coliseum because it was the most fun one.
Oh, yeah.
What other stuff was there?
So other stuff on Mandalore, I had a little more backstory on each of the mechanics. So like if you tried to make friends with them or tried to like bribe them, there was like a little bit of like yeah, I'll do this for you if you do this for me type
Okay.
things. There were like casinos and like more places for you to gather information. And so
And gamble.
like if you wanted to go to like the seedier parts of town, then there were like places to make money, but also learn more about the Dart. And if you had dived deeper into that, you would have found that it was Tahani paying people. Yeah.
That's a big clue.
Yeah, big clue.
We would have just went a completely different direction.
We probably would have gone in
Probably would
for
have
a
stormed
final fight
Tahani's
against
house.
Tahani.
Yeah, then he would have been.
Yeah.
Then in the
And-
distance, we see Mecha Visser.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what's that?
Glad we're not over
Anyway.
there.
Yeah, so if you guys had gone that way, then Visser would have like kidnapped someone, and then we would have had some sort of showdown that way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kidnapped one of us?
no, kidnapped like Tahani.
Bay or
Oh,
Tahani.
okay.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not nice.
We go to confront Tahani, and there's a note from Wahid that says, Omega Lol, got here first. See you at my mansion.
Right,
Your
we
girl,
know.
Wahid.
Yeah. Why does it seem like it was carved in by this giant mechanical tentacle?
It's just a slab of stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What other things besides like Mandalore?
Ooh, what else?
Like, what if we had gone to the asteroid instead of going to
Oh yeah. So
what's it called? Trandoshan.
so if you had gone to the asteroid, then you would have found that there were like smaller impacts and people were getting sick with the mold.
Oh.
And so the mold would have been more of a storyline.
Do you remember?
But yeah.
When I was like, let's split the party. I'm so glad we didn't split the
yeah,
party.
we
Like,
would've
hey,
gone
imagine two of us, one
yeah.
of us, Mecha Wahid, and we're like, okay, yes, all right.
Yeah. Fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, you guys got most of the big
Mm-hmm.
plot points.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like I was like railroading you too hard.
No,
Good.
I definitely felt like I had free reign to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
Good.
Besides going to Kashyyyk.
Yeah, that,
But-
yeah, that first one, I
but
was
that's
like,
fair.
oh no.
But that was like the one and only.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But imagine we go on a whole side story in the Kashyyyk, and then in the distance we see Mecha Wahid the size of Trandosha. She's like throwing planets at other planets. We're like, wait a second.
We should probably call the Jedi Council. Maybe the
At least you guys are properly trained, though.
We should make like a Star of Death or something to get rid of that.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Dude, when those
the service corps will get them.
I was gonna say when the service corps shows up, things are gonna be so fucked, bro. Like
Oh,
we got
yeah.
moldy boys on the asteroid. We got this mess.
Yeah, but they're going to take care of it.
Yeah, we don't get paid enough.
We're going to go on leave.
Do we get paid? Probably not.
You get,
We
paid
in
enough to
experience.
survive.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going back to fucking Mandalore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fight a couple bouts. Just kidding. Do you have any other plot related questions? Or are you gonna go into gameplay thoughts?
I mean, I don't think I do.
Yeah, let's go into gameplay.
Well, actually,
Oh.
do you have any questions for us?
Oh, true.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know what
Man.
you would have as questions for us, but
Yeah, I don't know. Just figured I'd.
it's polite.
No, I think we talked about your character's backstories enough that
Yeah.
I feel like I know you guys pretty well. Hopefully our listeners do too. Was there anything like in your backstories that you feel like wasn't played out that you want to?
I'll be honest. I was torn that no one recognized me, but also grateful because we were like really low level.
Oh yeah, you rolled really well a couple of times. Like when you were in the black market, there were a couple places where like, oh, I'm gonna get them here, and you just rolled your way out of things.
Yeah, like I was like happy, I was relieved, but I was like, damn, I want
The
some
possible
conflict.
drama, yeah.
Backstory.
Yeah, no, I think because like Kyrus ran away from home, basically.
I didn't know that.
I didn't. Yeah, so he was born with silvery eyes, which on Doran, his home planet, that's like a sign of strong force connection. And then his father, being in the Baron Doe, didn't really want to hand over his kid to the Jedi, so he kept him at the Baron Doe. And like during his time there, he was just kind of like spent reading books, practicing foretelling the future, until like one point he like realized that the Jedi were an option, and he felt like he wasn't doing a whole lot there, so he just kind of bounced on out of there.
Scoot boogie.
Yeah. Oh, and Master Fawn's backstory. When you opened the holocron, the holocron recognized you as a Togruta and as a huntress, and so that's why it addressed you that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what, Master Fawn? What the fuck is your backstory? Like,
Oh
in its
yeah.
entirety.
Oh, I guess we don't know. We the Padawans.
Oof. Yeah. Okay, so I'll try to be brief because you guys know I talk a lot. But let me pull it out. So basically, I grew up in like a tribe with a bunch of Togrutas. And I wasn't because like I've talked about before, like Togrutas aren't like hyper force sensitive. They're just generally force sensitive. So I grew up hunting and whatever with my tribe, and then one of the main things that Togruta do that a lot of other societies don't like is that like it is very survival of the fittest, and while they take care of each other because they are essentially a pack, right? Like if you can't keep up, then they're just going to leave you. So my mom had me later in life. She was kind of old when I was born, and so at one point we were traveling to a better place for hunting, and my mom fell behind and she was left to die, and I was like 8 years old at that point. And so that was like my first experience with like real like death and loss. When I turned 11 is when I killed my Ackle and was like considered like an official warrior. And in my headcanon, I don't really know if this is like old or young for Togruta, but in my headcanon, it's relatively like young, borderline average age. But the Jedi found me when I was like 12, so I was older for a Jedi. But this was at this point, like they weren't like, she's too old, right? Because like Kyrus, you were older too. They're more accepting because we were in a war, so they needed more bodies, right? But I was found by my master, and he kind of mentored me and like through all of the youngling stuff and took me on as his Padawan.
And that was the Wookiee?
Yeah. Shore Attic was his name.
And basically he was like my surrogate parent, right? Until he joined the dark side, and basically switched sides in the middle of the war. And he didn't really tell me that he, like, we didn't have conversations like that, right? Like, he's my father figure. And so I had already graduated and become a knight and was working on becoming a master. And there was some like weird intel on him that somebody was blaming him for becoming a dissenter. And I was like, nah. And then I saw him like across the battlefield. And that's when I saw his lightsaber. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay. So from there, I finished training Elio, and he's really easy Padawan, like by the book, just like listened to everything I said, took things really well, but was also like smart enough to I don't want to make it sound like you guys weren't smart enough, but like he was just like the epitome of like what a Padawan should be, right? So it was like easy. I barely trained him really, like but the Battle of Korbos happened, and I almost died. I spent weeks in a Bacta tank, and like Elio like nursed me back to health. Like it was a lot. And if you were to, the reason I wear robes, like heavy concealing robes, is because my whole body is just like slashed and gashed and cut up. Like it's gnarly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Jeez.
It's because like the Bacta healed me, but like didn't.
All the scars. Are
Yeah,
still,
I didn't like fully like take everything away.
Yeah, cool.
And the war ends, right? And I'm healed, and Elio gets promoted to knight. Life is like fine, you know. I'm finally a Jedi Master because Elio's a knight, and he gets sent to Tatooine on a mission, and there's like a freak accident, and basically like one of the pod racers like hits the crowd and like explodes, like it blew up, and that's how he died. So he was on a mission to take out like a hut or something like that. I didn't really know all the details, but like I knew he was going there, but like he died in like a freak accident, right? Which is really hard because like Master Fawn like hadn't ever really been close to anybody unless they like died or left her.
Damn.
Yeah. Well, and like I didn't say this earlier, but like her dad left. So like she doesn't have friends or family. And then so Elio dies, right? And then a week later, she's assigned U3.
Oh God, I didn't know it was that.
And then 3 days before she meets you guys, she goes to Elio's funeral and is given his lightsaber as like we're sorry for your loss.
I didn't realize it was that recent.
Yeah.
Damn, that
Yeah.
was
So that's
fresh.
why she was like not like warm and welcoming towards you
Yeah.
guys, is like
She was still grieving.
she was literally
That
like,
seems like poor
Yeah.
decision making on the council's part.
which is
Yeah.
also part of the reason why she was pissed with the council, right? Is she was like, you guys,
Maybe they thought you needed us for healing.
they
I think we
probably
had a
did,
shortage
but
of-
like
they also had a shortage of masters, right? Like,
there's not a lot of masters. Most of them are dead. Because the war literally ended like
the war team.
2-3 years ago.
yeah, like 3 years ago at this point, I think.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so like,
Okay.
and it, basically like the whole idea that I took from Master Fawn, right? So her strength and weakness was like, so her strength was bravery, but her weakness was anger. And I took a lot of like elements of like PTSD into account for her. So there was a lot of times like behind the scenes where things would remind me of her backstory, and so I would give myself extra conflict. Or like I would talk to Joseph and I would give myself secret like positive conflict after talking to him about it, because it was like, hey, I know this sounds silly, but like the fact that she like openly talked to Daisy that one time like is like really big for Master Fawn. Like she doesn't talk to anybody because everybody she gets close to dies. And so a lot of the things that she was dealing with too was like PTSD from the war, but then like she's like essentially your guys' mother, right? She didn't have a mother.
No.
So like how is she supposed to be a mom? You know, and you guys are a bunch of hooligans. So she's like, like, well, no, I mean, compared to Elio though, like, she didn't know how to deal with it, right? And it was hard because Signette is like her mirror, and Daisy is like this sweet, innocent, like, wonderful person that she doesn't want to corrupt. And then Kyrus is like her opposite in a lot of ways. And so she was like, I can't catch a break. Like, I can't do anything right, because if I act like myself, then Signette is going to go to the dark side because she's going to think it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm just like this because I'm a moody boy. Like, you know, and she didn't know how to be a good example, right? Like from the day she got you guys, she was on the precipice of like,
well, I'm going to snap.
You know, this close to snapping. Like, I'm surprised it took her as long as it did in the game to snap. Like, it was not great. So that's the gist of it. There's more, but like I said, I can talk forever. So,
goddamn,
jeez, that's badass.
That is badass. I mean, like you've because we haven't like played through it, right? You forget that you've like done some shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big point. I think I brought it up a couple of times, but like that's why Master Fawn cares about animals and not about human beings, or like beings, I guess, like entities, humanoids.
Yeah.
Because she grew up with that like hunter mindset of like, you kill the animal, you eat the animal, you use it in every way you possibly can. Like you give thanks for it. Like very, very like Avatar-esque, right? But like she also grew up seeing how disposable bodies were, and like they like at one point like she just realized like humanoids are just too complex for their own good, so it's like there's no sense in trying to worry about them. You know, like they're just gonna keep killing each other, so whatever.
It's really sad.
Yeah,
It's really sad.
yeah, because her whole upbringing was just war culture, right? So, and that's why she never really learned a lot about the Force either, is because like there was no need for it.
Just flash the person.
It was just like, oh, can you kill them before they kill you? Like, cool. The end. But then she feels like extra inadequate when she gets you guys, because you're all like really good Force users and she's not. So that was another struggle for her. She's like, okay, let's practice lightsabers. And you guys are like, I'm a pacifist, or like, I don't have a lightsaber technique, or like, I'm already really good at lightsabers. Can I do other things? And she's like, well, fuck. Like, what can I teach you? Right?
What do I do?
Yeah. Like, okay, go to your rooms, I guess. Like,
it's really cool.
We'll
too.
bond later.
Go read a fucking book, Daisy.
Yeah.
I think now knowing that too, like a little more into Master Fawn's backstory, it's even cooler to me now that she is like so like Warforged and is like a crate dragon, right? When she fights, like that's really, really cool to me.
Yeah, when Misty brought up that she wanted to get a crate dragon pearl before the campaign started, and I was like, okay, I'm already going to have this kind of monster crawl at one point. and she was asking if she could do it like as you guys were getting your lightsabers, and I was like that's a lot of power all at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked it over, and I was like, you'll get a chance, just let it play out. And so
That's why I was calling to her.
that's why I was calling to her.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And sorry. I really love Master Fawn.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
a
have
really
like
well
a lot
thought
of
out
ridiculous
character.
stuff,
Really
but
cool.
the reason that like her original lightsaber was a dark purple, and then I wanted her crate pearl to be a lighter purple, which like doesn't happen in Star Wars, but like it's my character and I'll do what I want. Is because I wanted kind of that like dichotomy, because her experience in the Kyber caves, everything, like she saw red and blue crystals everywhere, and it was like this overwhelming experience. She got super pissed off and couldn't figure it out, and then it wasn't until she like took a deep breath and calmed down, which like she doesn't do, that's when she found it. And then it was just like, it was like the red and the blue like whooshed together, and the last one that was there was a purple, like a dark purple one.
That's fucking awesome.
So like I didn't want her to lose the purple, because her whole essence has always just been purple.
Mm-hmm.
She's never had a good streak. She's never been above like a 60, even when she was first like a Padawan. So I didn't want the Crate Dragon Pearl, to like make her lose the purpliness of her like force stuff. It was really eloquent. But yeah, anyway, I gotta stop talking. Like 40 minutes of me. So
I mean, it's awesome.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
This isn't related to you at all. I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
But I was just thinking, like, while I was like sliding, Daisy was sliding in the dark to grab the red lightsaber. I was just thinking, like, I want Maddie to draw Daisy, but like it's darkness, so you can like see her face and like the front of her a little bit, but it's just like red and blue
Ooh.
or red and green. But like, I just thought it would look cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we can't
Oh,
ask
yeah.
her
Do it.
because she doesn't like cilantro. So.
Yeah.
What?
Oh wait, you weren't there for that conversation.
We'll talk
We'll come
about
back
it
to
later.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, you should totally ask
Yeah, hit
her
her
to
up,
do
hit
that,
her
because
up.
that's sick.
Kyrus actually wasn't supposed to be a pacifist to begin with. It's just he kind of fell into it a little bit.
No, I thought that was such a cool story, and the reason I was always pissed off about it was because they're like the fighters so ingrained. But like when that came up, I was like, oh shit, that's so cool. Like,
I think it's been
that's such
cool.
a great like nuance,
Yeah.
right? You don't hear about that a lot, but it's totally feasible for a Jedi to
Yeah.
be a pacifist.
I think it's cool too because I mean this has only happened like we've only played 2 games at this point, but we've had Kyrus in this game who could fight but actively chose to avoid it when he could, and then in Fallout we had Tessa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who was just like not used to fighting and also didn't fight a lot and was very timid when she did like have to like stab. I just think it's really cool because I think I really appreciate. Maybe this is just me patting us on the back, right? But I really
Keep doing
appreciate that that we can have like I have never been at a table. Granted, all my previous tables have kind of sucked, but no offense to my previous tables.
no,
If
all
you're
the
listening,
offense.
yeah.
No,
That's why he plays with us now.
Yeah.
no offense to Buds.
He's the one that got away.
But no one tries that hard, right? Like no one tries to role play a character who doesn't like to fight because when you roll initiative, you're just fighting now. Like there's no like interpersonal nuance. Nobody's characters feels bad about it, right? There's no like I mean like I can in all my old tables if they killed the Kyber crystal they would have been like, oh whoops, that sucks, right? It wouldn't have been such a big event like it was at this table. And I really appreciate that is that like it's really really cool that people do take a second to be like, hey, how's your character feeling?
Yeah.
And it's such a simple question, right? But I
And
think
also just like mechanical choices with like where you put your levels
Yeah,
and
exactly,
your points
right?
and like the experience points in here, like a lot of the role play that I think all of us do kind of guide where our characters are
Yeah,
putting
and
those
Yeah,
points.
not just like what's going to be most beneficial to me.
Yeah.
that one
Like,
guy.
When I don't know if I've ever used leadership except to comfort Kyrus.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And you guys made it really easy on me. Like there were whole sessions where I got to the end and I was like, man, I don't know their headspace. I don't know what kind of conflict to dish out. And being able to ask you all and get like honest responses back was awesome because like you know the inside of your character's head better than I do.
Yeah, because
And-
I could definitely see some
Yeah.
people just being all like, no, I wouldn't get that much conflict because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
But, like,
exactly.
yeah.
just fucking lean into it.
Yeah, dude. It's just like that's what makes
It's
it
a
fun,
game.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you want less conflict, there will be times to be good later. If you want more, you can cut a head off later, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so-
just something I really appreciate about us.
So Kyrus, like, I think it was just because people mentioned that he was an old man, and also the fact that he originally was going for the Force C and then the bind power, because I just thought it would be really cool for him to like walk into a place, bind everyone, all of the hostiles there, do the commit 3 fucking Force dice so that then it's like permanent, and also have the mastery that they just can't do anything. Because that scene of just like him walking in, waving his hand real quick, and then they're just fucking stuck, like halfway pulling their weapons out of their holsters was just so badass.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm here to talk.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine. Stuff like that level happening when we're like, I mean, this is the end of the campaign, right? But like in a mindscape where it keeps going, and like we're like we've been knights for a while, and we just have like more forceosity. Dude, these 3 are gonna be so badass. Our Master Font, we were gonna be the homies, bro. I don't know how the story would go, like if I would leave to go be like a Sith or like whatever. But either way, everyone's gonna be so cool, bro, and I love that.
Oh yeah.
We were talking about this off mic a little bit ago, but like thinking about Daisy specifically, like she's 13 years old and she's already this badass. Like, just give her 10 years, bro.
That's what
like
I'm saying, dude. Like,
in her prime, with like all these force abilities, and like it's just nuts to me, right? Because like she's already got all the athletics down for like really cool Jedi like fighting techniques, right? So like just give her a couple of years where she gets some like other cool force power. She's basically just Yoda at that point.
Yeah, just flipping around all
Yeah,
over the
like
place.
isn't that so cool? Like
That is kind of how I imagine her in the
Yeah.
future. Like, just not a tiny green man.
yeah,
but,
just like a cute little Ty Lee type
Yeah.
Yoda.
there's a
I'm
head
here
cannon
for it.
in my head. My head is the cannon. Where
Like,
like
get that checked out.
Yeah, point that somewhere
God.
else, man.
where Senyek runs away, kind of to be like a dark Jedi, but not necessarily one that does evil. But she is just so obsessed with like knowing the Force in full, that she leaves to pursue that knowledge. But she somehow, and I don't know how this would happen, like, but just suspend disbelief for a second. She is still abrazed of like Year 3's missions, and she is often still around helping out. And every now and again, like someone will catch a glimpse of Senyek after or before a mission, and then go to follow her. And because she can use misdirect, you turn the corner and she's gone, right? Or you turn the corner and she just looks like one of the crowdsmen, right?
Yeah.
And that's really cool to me. The idea that she would be like using the dark side of the Force, but still trying to help out her old teammates when she could.
That would be pretty badass.
I like that.
Yeah, that's cute.
I don't know why, but I kind of pictured Daisy going back to the arena. She had a lot of fun in there.
Dude, it was cool, right?
I mean, she's a performer, right?
Yeah,
like
probably-
originally.
Yeah.
Just doing like a bunch of like
Probably
force
appeals to her
moving shit.
nature.
I know that it's Mandalore, and they're gonna be like, no, but like, if I look cool enough doing it, I imagine they'll eventually be like, all right, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
For sure.
but also in the immediate future, the pranks, bro. I can still, like, dude, I can make myself look like Master Fawn. I just knock on Kyrus's door and I'm like, Kyrus.
Oh, that's for fun.
And say
Or
something-
I could just like pull something out from underneath
That's what
somewhere
I was
and
picturing.
trip you.
dude,
Just us being
the
teenagers.
teenage, yeah,
Yep.
dude. Man, what a fun next few years these characters are gonna have.
That makes
Oh,
me
yeah.
so sad.
You know.
Yeah.
Gameplay thoughts?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Okay, so my one complaint about this game is the dice system.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
It takes a while to like fucking
it does.
Figure out,
It takes a while to wrap your head around it. And then when we were getting into higher level play, we all started running out of dice and being like, hey, even though we have like 5 sets between, I think 6 sets actually.
yeah, we got a few.
Yeah, we've got 6 sets, so 2 for the DM and then 1 for everyone else. And we're like sharing dice back and forth because we have too many dice rolling all
They're
at
like
once.
small
Yeah.
sets. It's like you have to buy multiple sets.
Which
to-
they don't make anymore. Fun fact.
Oh wow, I
So-
didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought it was only while they were transitioning. No.
yeah. I think eventually they're going to start making more.
But it's been a hot minute
It
since
has
they've been out.
Yeah, it's
People are
been
scalping
hard to
them.
find them.
It's nuts,
Yeah.
Damn.
which is ridiculous.
Now I
Yes.
kind of feel
your
bad
dice shouldn't.
advertising this game, basically.
No.
Just like,
No,
hey,
it's been
No, because
fun.
you could.
Custom.
they're all like
Yeah.
regular shaped.
And there's
dice.
online rollers.
Yeah, the app is awesome. I just like
Yes. Oh,
rolling
yeah, the
physical
app.
dice because
Yeah.
I'm a nerd.
Yeah, the app is all right. And then if you like the physical dice but you can't find the Star Wars one, you can use the Genesis dice. The symbols are different, but it's the same ratio because this was built off of the
Off of that
Genesis system.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
And like I think in the books it had like, you know, the equivalency. If you had like
does.
D8s and D6s, it would just be a
Oh.
pain in the ass to have
It-
to convert it to that.
And
Yeah.
Joseph and I did play like that for a couple of sessions when we first started.
Yeah.
We converted them. It was a pain in the butt, but like it is doable. But that's something I did want to bring up too, though, is like Joseph and I have played this this game in its different forms 3 times now.
Yeah, because we did.
You played the other iterations of it?
So we did a duet first, and we went through the module, the Jewel of Yavin, and it was a blast. It was a great time. And then we played through the module Onslaught at Art of 4 with Damien and a couple of other friends. And those were both. So the one with Misty and me was a smuggler-based campaign, and then the one with Damien and the other crew was a Republic versus Empire type based campaign,
This is the first time we've ever done a like Force
like
campaign.
Jedi.
Like there was not a touch of Force anything
Oh,
in the
wow.
other campaign. So
Yes.
this still was like brand new to me, but the dice didn't change at all other than using the white Force die. But this is my 3rd time playing it, and I still am like, what is this? And we just finished the campaign. I was still asking myself like multiple times tonight, like, or I guess,
Throughout the campaign.
yeah, like during the campaign, like, okay, successes. Okay, how does this tally up? You know, and like, I would say I've played like, what, like 50 sessions total of this game.
Yeah, we've probably done at least that many.
And I'm still like, what the heck do these dice mean on a regular basis? So I agree. I'm not a huge fan of the dice system.
Yep.
Especially
yeah.
the yellow dice.
Yeah. Fuck the yellow dice. Sorry, Mom.
It
have a-
statistically does not make sense
It doesn't make sense.
how
like,
often you specifically.
Yeah.
Even like as a
The Force
concept,
hates
like,
me.
hey, you're really good at this thing, so use this better die and still roll nothing. Like what?
Right? Yeah.
Since we're going for complaints first, that's the vibe I'm getting. I do not like. It does not make sense in my monkey brain, right? I like the destiny points in a way to gain an edge in a fight, right? Like if I want to upgrade the difficulty of an opponent's check against me, or if I want to upgrade the goodosity of my check, cool. Flip a destiny point, right? Force wise, why do I have to flip it? Like the strain, sure. The conflict, fine. Why do like if all those destiny points are black, I suddenly cannot use the dark side of the Force if I'm a good aligned Jedi anymore? Like that doesn't make sense. Like the whole point is like I'm desperate, right? Like I'm using it out of desperation to eke more power, and therefore it makes sense maybe that I would suffer more conflict every time I use it. But it doesn't make sense to me that suddenly the dark side of the Force just says, we don't want you anymore. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, right? That's it. That's my thought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I could see him, like, upping the strain cost.
Yeah, the
So-
strain and or conflict.
Yeah, you take
that
two
makes sense.
instead
Like you
of one.
double it.
Like every time you take one the first time, then two, then three, and it would go like this for the rest of the campaign. I mean, the rest of the session. Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's just, like, doubled when all the fucking...
Oh yeah. Or
Force
yeah,
points
when you
are out.
know how long you have destiny points, yeah, now you take two strain, four conflict, like whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that like at some point you wouldn't be able to use it anymore just doesn't make sense to me because the whole point is you are being like
Yeah.
exposed to the
connected to
dark
the
side.
Force.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, oh,
right?
Force is tapped
You
out.
are letting
Sorry.
in the dark side because you don't have enough light side to do what you want to do, right? Like
Yeah.
that just makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that at some point you would want to do that and be denied. Like,
Yeah, especially where like the idea of the Force is that it is neutral,
yeah,
right?
right.
Like it has both light and dark at all times. So like, yeah, I agree. I would say
Like mechanically it wasn't an issue, but like as a concept, that part of it just doesn't make sense to me.
So I think flavor-wise it doesn't make any sense, but I think balancing-wise it kind of does, because then it limits the amount of, like, stuff that you can do.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, I guess that's fair. I
so.
guess.
I'm counterpoint though. Like if you're still upping the cost, then like it's still doing the same thing,
Still
right? So
limiting
like
you.
I only have so much strain, and I like yeah, I maybe I can take exponential conflict because I'm like a 95 or whatever, but like I only have so much strain. So
That's-
if
And that's on top of whatever involuntary strain Joseph in this case might give us, right?
Yeah.
or anything that I choose
Any
to
extra
use myself,
maneuvers,
like
yeah,
with
exactly.
Perry, right? So like you still end up having to balance it out and be
Yeah.
like, is this extra strain worth?
Yeah, is this extra strain worth, like, actually
Using
using the dark side?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are still consequences.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's not. It doesn't end up hindering.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like for example, right? And again, like I get that we've created these unique characters, and not everybody is going to have the same problems and
Mhm.
blah blah blah. But like, I don't use the Force, so like, go ahead and use all of the Force points you guys want, or the Destiny points you want. Like, I don't care because I don't need them 90% of the time. The only time I need them is to break ties, right? But for you guys, that was a big issue when like you would want to do something and we'd be like, oh no, don't do that because we only have one Destiny point left. And like, but that's so silly because if you needed to as a Jedi, theoretically, you would just do it.
If you were willing to use the dark side of the Force,
Yeah.
doubt
Yeah.
would.
Yes.
Right? And it also doesn't make sense that they are the same mechanics wise because it's like, oh, you use the dark side of the Force, so now the enemy's gonna hit you harder. Like what? Like this just doesn't make sense to me that they are tied to the same mechanical thing.
Now, see, that actually does make a lot of sense to me,
There's
because
consequences.
the Force is in all things, in theory, right? So you are, like, sapping all of the good vibes in there, and now there's only the bad vibes for a little bit. I will say also that, I don't know, I think it makes sense mechanically. Again, flavor-wise, absolutely kind of bullshit. But mechanically, it makes absolute sense because some of these fucking Force powers are stupid. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
I, technically speaking, according to just the verbiage of Bind, that fucking crate dragon
Was bound. Yeah.
was bound. The
whole
whole
thing.
fucking thing
Yeah.
for one. Count them. One little blip.
Yeah. I think there should be a silhouette limit or like something in there.
Yeah, because
To,
there's no shot, right? That are
There's no fucking
Kyrus
way.
is cracked. Don't get me wrong. No shot. You just
There's
see a
no
crate
shot.
dragon for the
Like, you
especially
can
at the
stop
time
a-
you had what 2 Force rating?
2. Yeah.
And
Your little Padawan Kyrus with 2 Force rating sees like the Force dragon, and you're like, "Hey, stop!" And, he
and
goes,
you lost strain from hearing it roar,
"Yeah, right."
yeah.
and you're just like, nah, don't move, freeze, put your
Put 'em
hands
up.
up.
Yeah, it should have, like, because for the power tree for move, just to move a small object, it takes a blip. And you were able to hold the crate dragon with that, with the same amount of force.
Same
Same
amount.
Yeah,
blips.
so
Yeah.
that's
It just
a
doesn't
little-
make sense.
Yeah. There's some stuff up there.
And if that's something that like Fantasy Flight isn't willing to like fix, because they're just like, it is what it is. Like,
Lamau.
these are your idea. Like, these are ideas for you to create. Like, cool. But then, like, as a table, I think that's really important that if you're going to play this game,
Yes.
you need to sit down and come up with those ground rules prior to.
Oh,
That's why
And,
session
like,
like what
zeros are always
voluntary
important.
strain is.
I
Yeah.
think for a game like this too, I would almost say every time you get a new force power, you should. Or every time you're looking at getting a new force power, you should talk it over, because there are some that are just like, if they aren't like Conjure, right? Like, I put the 1 point in it, and one of the reasons I didn't keep going down that tree as cool as it sounded is because the payoff is actually kind of shitty.
Mhm.
Like, it
Yep.
takes a lot of force points to start getting weapons, and when you get a weapon, you often don't get like the qualities that a sold version of it has. So it just ends up, it is almost always worse than your lightsaber.
Yeah.
And it's good in situations like there is a campaign in which it's good, right? Like, if you're like if you're in a situation where you've been kidnapped or you've been taken hostages and your weapons you've been disarmed, right? Then obviously you want to conjure up a bat, hit someone on the back of the head, by all means, right?
Yeah.
But shy of that, scenarios exactly like those, it just kind of sits useless until you can summon like the ghouls, and even then it's like mediocre. Like, you've gone down a whole force tree to use one power sometimes, you know, without having to force the scenarios in which it's good, right? And yeah, and like Bind, and I feel like there's just a lot of nuance with each force power where it is very important to be like, hey, whoever my DM is, like, what are the upper and lower limits of this power? Because you want to use it, you want to feel cool for having your force powers, but you also don't want to break the game, right?
Yeah.
So
Honestly, I wanted to feel cool with the move force power. I just didn't, because there was a time where we didn't really get to use anything unless it was light side. I kept on rolling dark side. It was kind of like, why would I use this when I could just hit hard with lightsaber
Yeah.
and actually
Yeah.
do something instead
And
of...
also, like, with your lightsaber, right? You're almost always gonna fucking make it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Because
because I was rolling like 4 yellows and 2 green.
yeah, but you have to pump so many like points of experience into hunting down those like force rating increases.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
you have to spend probably like almost 100 XP to get like one.
My issue was I spread myself out too much into too many different trees when I should just focus. But I was like, wow, the move thing sounds good. And I used it for like 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's cool. Like, it sucks because it feels like you have to go one of two ways, right? Like, I feel like I had a lot of cool side abilities that don't, and also like I also cheated the force rating in, but but like I feel like I could do a lot of cool stuff. Like, I took less involuntary strain. I had advantage on discipline checks against fear, which just didn't really come up, but that was still cool. I had healing trance, which I never used. Like, I had the sense powers, like the 2 commits to upgrade my
Oh, yeah,
checks, and
those
the
were-
difficulty. They
those
were
are
money.
nuts.
All before I had a force rating upgrade, right? Of course, it was hard, right? Because I had to use the power crystal for a while before I had my second force rating. But I don't know, dude. Like, I guess it does balance it out mechanically, I guess, in this way. But it kind of sucks that you either get to branch out throughout your whole tree, right? Because I wanted to cover most of the Mystic Magus tree. Because I had a lot of like knowledge-y, like you want to know stuff in it. Whilst also having like, oh, you're curious about the dark side, Eternal Agony, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it had, like, I really liked it, that's why I picked it. But yeah, if you want to get more force rating to do more cool force stuff, you have to like, which again, I guess this makes sense. I guess it is balanced in a sense, but like, you have to skip all this cool like practicing your tree and just sprint to the force rating and then move on, right? In order to use that force rating with more force powers. So it's a balancing thing, I guess. It makes sense. But I wish there was like a way to like generally like just work towards better force rating while also being able to train in your tree. Like, I wish there was some way they were 2 separate things, you know?
Like if it were one of like the skills kind of thing, but it just had redonkulous experience point
Yeah.
cost,
Yeah.
like 50.
Or if like so on your character sheets, down at the bottom on the front page, it has total XP.
Yes.
What if perhaps
those benchmarks mattered.
Those benchmarks mattered.
That's how I think it would
yeah.
be cool. Only because then it's like, it's not like if I like resolve, right? Like taking one less involuntary strain, it doesn't make sense to me that you are either getting better as a fighter or as a force user. Like most Jedis train both at the same time,
Yeah.
right? And that's why I think using benchmarks would be a good way. Like every 100, like maybe the first time at 50, then at 100, then at 200, or like whatever the benchmarks would be. But I think that way you can spend your experience points for the skills / force powers you want without worrying about like, oh, I don't want to go through the whole game with only one force rating.
Yeah,
right?
and like Misty, one of your like lightsaber trees had a lot about committing, like force die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like if you focus down that tree, you're not getting your force rating increased in order to use the abilities in that tree.
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that that like kind of sucked at the beginning is I didn't realize that the force tree that I wanted to start with was a force rating 2. And it literally says up at the top, force rating 2, but I didn't read it.
I didn't realize it either.
So we got it, and it was cool because it's the battle meditation thing, and I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to have 3 Padawans. Like, the whole point of it is to be able to, like, be, like, a puppeteer for you guys, but, like, in a good boy sense,
Dance.
right? Like, hey, let's execute this like a pack, and, like, you come from this side, you go from that side, Daisy, you flip over,
Wow,
right?
we fucked that up real bad.
Well, that was like the original intent, right?
Yeah.
But then I couldn't even use it until
Way
like
later.
5 sessions ago, maybe.
Mhm.
But that's my bad for like not reading it properly. But also, like, in order for me to make it work, I had to go down an entire tree to find it, another force rating. Even though, like, that doesn't make sense. If you're a master tactician, like, you should be able to have
do
some sort
tactician
of like
things.
mind link with your little
homies,
Padawans
yeah.
and your homies that like you work with every day, right? Like, that's the idea. And it ended up being a good thing because I really liked both of the lightsaber trees that I went down, and it made sense for my character. But yeah, it was like even then, you have to commit all these force die to do this stuff. And I was like, well, I have force rating 1, and like, I'm just trying to kill things. Like, I am the murder hobo this like session or this season, you know, like it was a lot. But
It also doesn't make sense to me that if you are going to make it like down a tree type deal, why not the force rating? Like the force trees, right? Like as you are getting better with your force power, think a force rating, right? Like why the skill trees? Like
yeah, good.
that doesn't
point.
make sense to me.
Like, because you're learning all these force things.
Because you are actively
require-
progressing your force power. Now you are better with the force. Like, I still think the benchmark thing would be ideal. But if you're going to tie it to a tree, why not the force trees? Why the skill trees? Like, dude, one of them's all about, like...
I don't know. I think it would just be kind of complicated at that point because the way that they have like the force trees laid out, like the force trees are all about just simply improving nothing else.
That force power.
Force power. So I don't even think that that's a good spot to bring, and it would just make it more complicated.
But they're
My
also
thing
like...
is,
You got it.
like at the force power tree move. It's like the move basic power, and then you go down. Like there's like 4 magnitude, 4 strength. Like, or even at the bottom of all the control ones. No, that'd be a little too soon because they're pretty low cost. But like maybe at the end of like strength, like the most expensive one to upgrade, there's like a force power.
Well,
It's like, or force rating.
I
Because
mean,
I'd have to spend like
a gazillion.
25, 35 plus 20, 55 plus 25 for the force rating.
I mean, most force
That's a
trees
decent amount.
have a mastery slot. Just tack it on there, I feel like. Because you're not going to tell me I spent X amount. Like, I'm literally a master at Force Sense, and I'm no better at using the Force for it. That doesn't. But when I'm swinging my lightsaber, now I'm better at using the force. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just, it doesn't make sense logically, right? Like,
Yeah.
And I know it's an RPG. There's only so much you can do, but that's like a big one that doesn't make sense.
I think it would have been better if it was just XP benchmarks bound. Once you have gained 150 XP, you get your second rating. 300, your third, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah,
like
and again,
whatever the numbers
again,
are.
that's just the session 0 talk.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then like any of the like trees that you go down, if it says you get an extra force rating, then you just get an extra force rating on top of the benchmark thing. That's probably the way that I would run it if we do this again, just because I think
It is something
makes
you could
sense.
homebrew.
Yeah, just,
Yeah.
just homebrew it.
And I think that's the biggest takeaway from like our gripes, besides the dice, is that like I guess kind of just like know what you're getting into with the Star Wars games.
Yeah.
And then
And be prepared to homebrew.
Yeah, I would
be
say-
prepared to make it your Star Wars
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, like the power crystals are a good example. I homebrewed those. They were supposed to be one use and then they break.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that is borderline useless.
Yeah.
Like I use 4 cents once and then it disappears. And so instead I rolled a D4 every time, and if it came up a 1, it broke.
Okay.
Yeah, I would advise if you want to play this game, I would recommend it. It's really fun. But read the rule books, talk about it with your table, maybe do like a test session, see what you like, what you hate, and homebrew accordingly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you're the GM, be flexible and be
Yes.
willing to listen to like the weird stuff that comes up, because again, Joseph and I had played this game together 2 times before we played this, and we hadn't dealt with the Force stuff. But like, there are still things that came up, and I was like, Joseph, this doesn't make sense to me. Like that
Yeah.
seems silly, and he was like, yeah, that does sound silly. Or like, I'm gonna rule it this way. And I think having a flexible GM is
Is
really important
very
for
important.
this game set, especially because it's nuanced,
There's just a lot
right?
of like really crazy interactions that
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
you can't really like plan out necessarily. Like, I don't know, finding a fucking crate dragon like that. There's no fucking way that should happen, and I think that you actually
I
did
think you
it
handled it really
perfectly.
well.
Yeah,
Like,
agreed.
segmenting like the parts of it.
Like
That just
Legos.
makes sense. Yeah. One thing. So I think my favorite part about this entire game system is XP based improvement,
I do love
Yes.
XP-based systems
Yes.
personally.
Yes.
I love systems like that.
because like at that point, then right, let's take Pathfinder. Right, you're not a fighter who then just gets to second level, and I think you get like your weapon training, and you get an extra feat, and you get this, and you get that. Instead, you're like just slowly building every single session
Yeah.
on the little things about it. And though I have some complaints about like the the force ratings being all the way at the bottom, and just how some skill trees might have cool things for your character, but it doesn't mean that you get any force anything. Like, I do like that you can kind of like choose your own adventure
Yes.
more or less.
I
as you're,
love
like,
it.
Yeah.
The
going
characters
down.
are very unique as a result. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it allows you to like pay attention to the little details a bit more. And
Yeah.
like you said, they're just a lot more unique, and you won't be like, oh shit, like maybe I wish I hadn't taken that feat. Kind of like,
I can't wait till I get to level 5 so that
Yeah.
I can have all
Yeah.
these spells.
and it's like more realistic because like you don't just suddenly like wake up one morning after months of training like, wow, I feel more powerful.
It also avoids like in Pathfinder. I know generally what every level 5 cleric can do, right? Like I like there are differences with like archetypes and stuff, but for them, like in a general sense, what everyone knows what a level 5 cleric should be able to do roughly.
Yeah.
Not everyone knows what a Jedi Knight will be able to do, right? Because not 2 Jedi Knights are specifically the same, right? It's not like once you reach rank of Knight, you get another, like and I think that's really cool.
you and Kyrus both had
Tree.
one tree
Oh,
that you both were doing, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning.
I was going down the Mystic Seer route because it had 2 force ratings on there, and also Seer and Foreseeing.
Yeah, but like you guys didn't end up being the same character, right? Because you had that choice and you could
Yeah.
hop down things and you changed different skill trees and like, but like, you guys started out as the same thing.
Yeah,
but
you were both
going back
mystics.
to like,
Yeah.
if you started out as a cleric, right? If we had two clerics, you basically would be
It'd
the
be
same
relatively
person,
the same. Yeah.
other than a
Of
couple
you
archetypes
vary, yeah.
and like how you chose to have your personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is really cool for the uniqueness factor.
Yeah, I really like it.
And I like end of every session, you get some XP, and you get that the fucking dopamine of like, leveling up your character because that's
Yeah.
a fucking great part.
You go Bert.
I also like that it enables like, which if you want to do upgrade just for mechanics reasons, just so you have a more successful character, yeah. But like it does give the opportunity to be like, oh, this happened to me this time. Maybe I should put XP into that skill instead of like I was gonna go down the skill tree, but I should just do this combat skill or general skill or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like even if you're trying to do that with like a character in Pathfinder, like you're trying to do like what kind of experiences they had, instead of having to remember like, oh shit, when was the last time that we leveled up?
The
Well, he's
last
done a
3
couple.
sessions.
He's done a couple knowledge checks, and he's had to, I don't know, do this other kind of a thing. So like instead of having to remember back those like, I don't know, the way that I fucking run Pathfinder, those last 30 sessions, instead you have like that session, what happened that session, well, this, and this, I should probably put some points into here to reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it keeps you coming back for more, right?
Yeah.
Like you get that XP at the end, you get that dopamine
You're
rush
right,
like you
it
talked
is
about.
like a
And
little
then you're
like,
like,
oh, yeah, what
I
am I
can't
gonna
wait
do?
till next session because
If I
I
had
have
five
one
more-
more parry.
Yeah.
I've had 5 more XP.
Yeah. And you're like,
Watch
next session
me.
when I get that 5.
Watch me move those silhouette one things.
I also like the conflict system because it invites it
Yes.
it invites
Yes.
RP dialogue, right? Like it
Yes.
invites like the
Yeah.
hey,
It's wonderful.
do you think, and this is another important reason to have a fantastic DM like Joseph,
Yeah.
because instead of just being like, okay, you did XYZ, 6 conflict. He like Joseph is very open to being like if I think something like you, like I think you were a really good example of this, Damien, too. If you felt like you deserved more conflict because of how Kyrus took something or less, like Joseph was always very receptive to that, and I think that's really cool, right?
Yeah,
Being
and there was
able-
a couple times where you were just like, how much conflict do you think you got?
yeah,
and
exactly,
just left
right.
it
and,
all
be-
on
and,
us.
and that invites, again, like we talked about, the character mindset, right? Like,
Yes.
realistically, how hard is this for your character? And sometimes if doing something kind of shitty was easy for your character, that might be a reflection of like low morality as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of times where I did that with Master Fawn. Like, and I would talk to Joseph afterwards. Like, he'd be like, okay, you guys all, there. I can't remember the situation right now. But we all got conflict because we killed something. And I went to him and I was like,
No shot, right?
no.
I don't feel bad
like
about it.
I did give myself conflict for like times where I scolded you guys and you didn't deserve it, or like I had like a flashback in like a meditation or things like that because of the PTSD element that I was trying to add, right? So those things were awesome though, because a relatively normal session could turn into like a really shitty session strictly because I chose it to be, because of the conflict or the like positive thing of like the biggest thing I would say was like when Daisy talked to Master Fawn about like how she was doing, and I told Joseph, I was like, she doesn't talk openly, so the fact that she even like told Daisy she wasn't feeling great, I think was like a huge step for her. So like I gave myself positive conflict. Are you cool with that? He's like, yeah, that sounds great. And like it just made me feel more like Master Fawn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I got more ready for like what was to come.
Yeah. Along that same line, like rule systems that help foster good role play, I love how they handle combat order in this,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
there's so many times in like the D&D or like Pathfinder type games where you're like, all right, and I sneak up and everyone rolls initiative and I'm at the bottom of initiative. So all
When
the
you were
bad
at
guys.
the front.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I was ready to jump on him and roll initiative, and now I'm at the bottom of the stack, right? And so having that flexibility where the player characters can talk to each other and like plan out things as the combat's going, made it feel a lot more inclusive than a lot of combats I've been in or that I've run in the past. And I really enjoy it.
Oh yeah, picking back off that, I was also just gonna say, it also invites like character personalities in combat, right? Like
Yes.
Daisy or Signette would usually go. I mean, especially towards the end, one of them would usually go first, just because they fucking want to, right? And it doesn't make sense for both of these to be like, holy fuck, I'm gonna hit them and go last. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whereas like Master Fawn just has more experience, so she's like, she doesn't got the monkey brain like we do, and Kaiser Roll is a pacifist for the most part, right? Like,
and very, very reactionary. Like he was waiting for you guys
and
to
that
do
makes
whatever the
sense,
fuck you were
right?
doing.
It would make sense for him to go
Yeah.
last and see, like, okay, like, seeing what they're doing, how can I best help in this situation? Like, are they hurt?
Yeah.
Should I just bind? But then if Kairos is always going first, like, it just wouldn't make sense, like, RP wise, because he wouldn't want to do that, right? And yeah, so like, I do love just saying like, player character 1, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that helps out a lot.
Also, I like that in situations, if like Kairos was like, I'm gonna bind him, and that like, but he went like first or something, like we're logically, and I know it doesn't make sense timeline wise, but we're gonna want him to hold the bind as long as possible.
Yeah.
So like possibly through their turn.
Yeah. And it lets you like actually
Yeah.
use your abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes sense too, because if we were like, if we had like a more cohesive unit, we fought well together, but we didn't fight like as a unit, right? But like if we did have like pack tactics, right, we would know like people who fight as a group have like a turn order, so to speak, right? Like they know who they want to do what first, right?
Yeah.
Or especially like like in Pathfinder, when you have a rogue that you want to get into flanking position, you probably aren't gonna have him go first, right? You want to have someone there that he can flank with.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can't do that just because the rogue goes first.
Yeah,
right?
and then you're sad 'cause you're like, wow,
got
hello,
nuts.
I'm the rogue and I'm about to die because I rolled really high and no one else did.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So,
all I wanted was a flanking bonus with my sneak attack.
Yeah.
And I did like, so the foresee force power tree, right? So predominantly, like on its surface, it's basically so that then a player can annoy the GM with predictions of what's going to happen
Yep.
in that
Yeah, I
session.
thought it was funny. I was like, how's he supposed to do this?
I know,
'Cause
it
it's
was-
like,
yeah, it
he
was
doesn't-
so tough.
he
yeah.
doesn't know what we're gonna do, but
Oh,
we
but-
made it
But
happen.
you did a really
Yeah.
good job with it too.
Especially that end one. Oh, just chef's kiss.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
But I do like that, like the Force C thing. It had a couple other like more mechanical benefits, I guess.
Yes.
Because like on its surface, it's player asking GM, "Hey, what's going to happen this session?" But further on, like you start using that in like dirt for initiative checks was one of the things. So like every time that we were rolling up initiative, I was also rolling a Force C power check to like
Ah.
get higher up on the initiative. Kairos never used it. Like used the first spot in initiative.
Yeah.
But just having him in the party allowed like the
Yeah,
foresaw a little bit of a conflict, and then you guys
The
got
party
to go.
was pretty.
Yeah.
it would
pretty-
make
yeah.
sense.
Oh,
You'd be
that's
like,
cool.
Hey,
Yeah, that was one of the things I
This.
ended up really liking about Force Sense as well, because I was like, oh, I can see little. I'm a radar, cool. But then the
Yeah.
2 upgrades where it's like you are harder to hit and you like hit harder. Kind of made like at least the defensive one made sense to me, because I was like, oh, like I feel the hits coming, right? Like I
Yeah.
can better prepare for
Yeah.
them. I thought those were really cool.
And that's such a cool like Star Wars thing that I've got a bad feeling about this.
yeah, right.
Type thing. It's just so Star Wars, and I loved that we were able to get a lot of that between the Force Sense and the Force C powers. Like I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. I think just kind of going along the same vein that we've been talking about with like the RP, I really love the way that you create a character in
Yes.
this game system. I love that it is story focused and then your powers and abilities. And it's not like yeah, you choose like a profession within like the Jedi realm or whatever, but like it's not the same as like, I want to be a rogue. Okay, what type of species is a good rogue? Oh, a half elf. Yeah, you're right. Like then I'll create my rogue's character from there, right? I say this because as you guys all know that
that's kind of the
rogue.
process you always go through.
That's the process, right? But as like for Master Fawn, I was telling Joseph that I'm going to continue to do this for the rest of the games that we play as much as I can remember to do it, because creating Master Fawn, I had her whole story before I even had any idea what type of tree she was looking at. I just knew I wanted her to be who she was and that she was fighting focused. And then from there, like, the world was my oyster. I could have chosen any of the skill trees and it would have worked out, because the gaming system encourages you to build your character before anything else. And I think that created a really good role play for us, because we all had a good sense of who we were going into gameplay, instead of it being like, well, I made my rogue and hey, we all met in the tavern and I
don't have any parents.
hope this makes sense to you guys later. Maybe I'll have a story arc. Thanks, bye. You know, like.
And with like the different trees too, it doesn't feel as much of a feel bad as like multi-classing in most game systems. That's like a big no-no, because then you don't get access to any of the high-level stuff,
and it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
It's so hard to try and multi-class. I've wanted to for years, and my brain, it said, nope,
I can't
you were
keep
rogue.
track of that
Stay
many.
in your lane.
One complaint, although I don't know how to fix it, is the tree system. There needs to be a way to keep track of all the abilities you have. Maybe there is, and I'm just kind of dumb.
No, I agree. I think it's a little unruly, and I feel like maybe that's something you have to figure out for yourself as a player.
Yeah, because the second page of the
second
the
page does
player
have
thing,
like talents and special abilities.
Yeah, but it's not a lot of
There's
space.
3 spots for force powers, and there's not a lot of space next to it. It's just like, it's hard because it's like, I understand why it's set up the way it is, but like, we have to print out the pages so we can keep track of what we have. And then we have to like flip through 4 or 5 pages to make sure if it's a skill we have and how it works. But
Yeah.
that's it. Those just sorry.
yeah, and
skill
like
trees.
bleed over in a couple different trees. Like some of them might have, like this skill tree has 2 parry things, and then this other one has 1 of them, and you might miss that other one because you're looking at your first skill tree and only seeing 2 of them.
I can't tell you how many times that's happened, specifically with Perry.
Parry
but
2 trees.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had buku Perry boo. I had like I was missing, I think, like 3 parries still on my tree that I wanted to get but had other priorities.
Jeez.
And that's only parry. That wasn't even with
Like the platypus?
yeah, every time.
Every time.
That wasn't even with all of the, what is it called, reflect ones for blasters and stuff. Like, yeah, it was
That's
nuts.
so cool.
But yeah, like the game doesn't like inhibit you from quote unquote multi-classing, because like it's what, like 10 if you're getting a new tree in your class.
It's pretty
and then,
easy.
Like 25 if you're getting it in a different class. But like, might sound like a big XP investment, but it's really not.
And that's for
like
trees.
I
one,
ended
maybe
this
2
session-
sessions.
I ended this session with, or this series with total XP point purchasing of 485.
Dude,
Yep.
I didn't realize I was giving you guys that much.
I ended with 480.
Okay,
And that's
cool,
just
yeah.
like to go
I
down
didn't
another
keep
skill
track.
tree. Yeah, me neither. I stopped keeping track at around 300.
Yeah, I didn't keep any tracks.
But with the force powers, you don't even. There's like, you just buy them. Like, as long as you have the force rating to use them, you can be an onion knight and just dip into heavy force power when you can.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and that's a viable option too.
Mhm.
Yeah, because if you can do a little bit of everything, like you're gonna be useful.
Yeah, dude. And another thing I really liked about it is I don't remember exactly how much XP we got early on, but I felt cool from the start.
Mhm.
Like I did not feel like a level 1 cleric that can't really do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
I felt like Senyak was a cool, capable character from the first episode,
Yeah,
and that's something I really liked about it.
yeah, that's something I like in all of the Star Wars campaigns that we've run.
Yep.
Is you never feel like you're just derping around and like falling over your own feet. Like you feel like a capable adult. I am out adventuring. I like am supposed to be out here.
You know,
Yeah.
it's so funny that you guys say that because genuinely, that's a thought I've had so many times. Like, when you're a level 1 anything, like, I always feel like a baby deer.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
Yep.
know how
No,
to walk.
absolutely.
I don't know how to do my spells.
I could trip and die.
Well, yeah, I did
Yep.
trip and die once. That was a real
like-
I
thing.
thought I was gonna die falling off the speeder, but like it's wild to be able to just take 10 damage, level 1, and not die.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's
so
like in a lot of
nice.
other campaigns, D&D campaigns in particular, where you're like, you're level 1, and the Sword Lords reach out to you, and you're like, why? I'm level 1, bro.
Who am I?
Like, I'm literally no one.
So that speeder thing, I also really like the fucking strain and wound threshold thing because
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
you start off with 10 to 15, kind of
Yeah.
like in both of them.
Mhm.
Sounds like a pretty good chunk, but it doesn't really increase all that much.
No.
No, it
So
doesn't.
even
Doesn't for
though
me.
you can survive falling off a speeder, you could be like still 400 some odd fucking XP in. You could still get fucked up falling off that same goddamn
Mhm.
speeder.
Yeah, I
You're
have
gonna take
14
those 10
wounds
damage. Yeah,
and 13 strain.
yeah.
So like,
I'm rocking 12 wounds and 13 strain threshold at the end.
Wow.
Here.
That's nuts.
17 wound threshold. I'm kind of durable.
But like, what does that
18.
actually mean though? You're going to get take one more hit, probably.
Yeah.
literally, right?
Exactly.
And that's about it.
Like, yeah.
And like, I don't remember what I started out with, wound and strain threshold wise, but I ended with 18 and 15
Jeez.
respectively. But you say that I spent so much XP trying to get extra strain specifically and wound threshold.
Yes.
Like that was my whole
Yeah, my
lightsaber tree
skill-
was that and parry. Like it because
Yeah.
I realized that like
You're trying to be a tank.
I had to be a tank, but you can't start out as a tank. Like,
I
that
do like
you don't
it
get
too
to.
because it does keep that sense of realism, right? Like it doesn't matter how good you are at fighting or with the Force.
if you
A knife to the chest is a knife to the chest. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
a lightsaber's still gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, and you never get to that point in D&D. I think it's a meme at this point where like the max fall damage is like 20d6. So realistically, you can have a character get up to like level 15 or something, and they can literally just
Survive any fall.
jump off of a fucking airship that's miles up in the sky and just be like, deuces, I just wanted to get home quicker. And that mechanically,
Wouldn't kill
that's
them.
fine.
Right? You hit the ground and I'm a cleric and you're healed
And you're
up
good.
and
Away you go.
walk on
That's
home.
when the GM's like, oh, you landed on a rock and you take this much piercing damage.
Yeah, that's
what they
I
should
would
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really quick, and this isn't really like I know we're moving on to gameplay, but I just want to come back to like the storytelling really quick. I loved discovering, and this isn't something I like about this game better too. It's because again, when you're playing Pathfinder or D&D and you discover that someone's a wizard, you have a rough idea of what they may be able to do. In this game, when you discover that somebody else is a Force user, you still don't know what the fuck they can do.
Yeah.
You're just scared. You're like, oh, what? Like, what did they do? And that was something I thought was really cool because once you're like, oh, that's a Force user, you just like, it suddenly becomes a different fight, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much different
The
from just
stakes are
fighting a
raised.
thug. Yeah, exactly.
Like when he was like, what am I going to do with all these force points? I'm like, I don't know. What are you going to do?
exactly, right?
I don't even know all the things you can
Please
do.
stop.
Like, I've seen the Force power trees.
Yeah, or fucking Arba. Dude, that's the only character who has ever broken Kyrus's bind.
Yeah.
The only one ever.
Not even
Like
Great
that
Dragon,
was I have no fucking idea
Like,
what
you're
the
not
hell
ready
that
for
was,
that.
and I'm not ready for that at all.
Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
She broke my bind. Do I bind?
Yeah.
yeah.
All I do is bind. I don't.
Right? And that's totally a thing, like in the movies where they're just like staring at
Force
each
fighting,
other
yeah.
and it's like happening in the mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun to do on the table too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love Star Wars, you guys.
It's-
Right?
really
It's so sad finishing this up.
I don't want to admit this, but I was like, I mean, I enjoy the Star Wars franchise, but I was just kind of like, not super interested in Star Wars. Like, especially after, like, I enjoyed Fallout so much, but like, I really enjoyed Star Wars.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad
This
you
is
did.
the second game in a row where I didn't know much about it going in, so I was like, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean, both games have been really fun. And like, I never really played Fallout, and I've only started getting into Star Wars recently because of this. And it's like, both games have been super fun. I mean, like, it's just been really, really fun.
Yeah. I'm curious because I haven't had that experience yet. Like, I know Star Wars, I know Fallout. I can't wait until we play some like other fucking
Some
weird
game you
thing.
never heard of, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And just the lore being completely new because oh my god, I fucking love some lore.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah.
To like, because I'm in the same boat, right? The reason I bought an Xbox was because my buddy had Fallout and I wanted to play Fallout.
I
and-
stole Fallout from a family friend.
Really?
Yeah.
Fallout 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're just
Hey,
gonna admit
look,
that live on air?
Yeah, I don't
He's a
give a shit.
pirate.
I guess we're not
Get
live.
him.
Honestly, he was kind of a piece of shit, so I don't really care that much.
Yeah. And so, like,
Drop his
I grew
name.
up playing Fallout, and
I didn't care about him enough to remember.
and
I
like
hope he's not
I
listening.
grew up watching the Star Wars movies, and then Misty, when we got married, like she's more into Star Wars than I am, and so like I got into it all over again, and like the same thing. Like
true
it's been fun messing around in these lore places that I already know, but I'm real excited to do something that I am having like Wesley's experience with, where I have no idea what I'm stepping into.
Oh yeah.
Like discovering new things. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Do you mind if I start?
go for it.
Okay. So we see Kyrus, much, much older at this point. We see him placing a lightsaber on a table. Camera kind of pans up and we see other Jedi in Jedi robes, kind of like nodding down, wishing farewell. We then see Kyrus on a dust-covered planet, the planet of Doran. And he is walking towards a rather large monastery. He comes up and starts kind of like greeting many of these sages that he obviously recognizes, and they recognize him. Until he gets up to this one who is kind of like looking down disappointingly. His father. And then that disappointed facade quickly drops as he just sprints over and just the biggest fucking hug onto
Aw.
Kyrus.
Aw.
We then see later, much later, Kyrus is very old at this point, sitting, seemingly bored, just sitting there in the barren dough, appeasing different political allies. And then he thinks back and dials something on a comlink. We then see him walk down the street towards a spaceport. There is this one kid that's getting kind of like kicked a bit by these other bullies, and he just waves a hand. The bullies freeze midair. He just touches the kid's shoulder. All of his wounds are healed as he makes his way over to the EVO.
Oh, I like that a lot. Me next? I'm gonna go next.
Okay.
Dibs. So I don't know much about Star Wars. So I don't know what planet we're on. But whatever planet we're on, we're definitely on the shadiest part. Not the shadiest, but the shadier part of town. And then we focus in on a tattoo parlor. And the camera pans inside. And we see an older Sinyect, probably like 4 to 5 years after the series, right? So we're talking like 18, 19-year-old, 19, 20-year-old Sinyect laying on her stomach on the tattoo bench. I've never gotten a tattoo.
So think of it kind of like a massage parlor almost,
Okay.
where like it can be a table or a chair.
Okay.
Kinda.
So laying on her stomach on that. And at the nape of her neck, she's getting a tattoo. And is there a Sith symbol? I realized I should have asked this before.
Yeah, there's one or two. So,
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Aces.
Is it that weird symbol?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's call it that weird one on the dark side of the destiny point.
Yeah.
So at the nape of her neck, she is getting a tattoo. We see her toying with something in her hands. As she makes, the tattoo artist, and she and the tattoo artist make like bullshit conversation until it's done. He moves his hand away, and we see a Sith symbol on the nape of her neck. And he says, "So what's that thing you've been fidgeting with?" And the camera moves to the thing she's kind of like doing this with in her hands. What is this motion? Would you just say fidgeting with?
Yeah.
Tinkering?
That she's,
I don't know.
She's playing with it.
yeah, she's just fucking with in her hands. And she goes, "It's nothing. Don't worry about it." And she leaves double the credits of the tattoo on the tattoo artist's counter, and leaves while still holding the Sithari. I forgot what it was called. Holocron.
Yep.
And yeah, that's the scene that I've made awful now with my voice.
No, it's awesome though.
Yeah. I love it.
I would say timeline wise, Master Fawn has started this adventure. I'd say probably maybe like a year, maybe 2 after this big fight. She is in a ship and she's coming into the planet's orbit. And you just kind of follow her as she gets out of the ship and walks to a kind of a interesting looking market. There's a lot of diversity. You're not really sure if this is one of those markets or if it's just a normal everyday one. And you notice that she's not wearing her concealing robes anymore. She's still covered head to toe, but just a lot less weight. And she walks around. You can tell that she's just kind of taking everything in and understanding the lay of the land. And the day starts to drag on, and you kind of just continue to watch her almost roaming until she ends up at a door towards nightfall. She knocks on it, and a woman answers. She says, "Hi, my name's Adetta. I have some questions I'd like to ask you if you have time." The woman says, Do I know you?" And Master Fawn says, "No, not particularly, but I do have some important business with you." The door shuts, and you don't really get to be privy to the conversation, but gist of it is that Master Fawn has moved on to a life of vigilantism versus the Jedi Order. It just wasn't working out. She's a little too stressed and wanted to do good, but wanted to do it her way. So, in light of the news with the Sith and their like startup religion, she is going about gathering intel.
I don't know why that got me, but just startup religion was just like, hey, so the Sithari GoFundMe page.
Yeah, I thought of the exact same thing.
Yeah. She just didn't have answers that she wanted after the mission was over. So
Dude, I never knew Master Fawn's name until this moment.
Yeah, I was like, who's a Detta? I thought it was like the lady.
I thought it was a fake name.
no.
Literally
her.
until
Yeah,
you said
that
something.
thought
No,
I thought it was
my
I was
mind.
like, because I remembered like super early on, Stevie, you said you thought I called Master Fawn by her first name at one point, and I was like, no, I don't even know it, and I continued to not know it.
I only know it because of the drawing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay, sorry for interrupting.
I wish I was a vigilante. I guess I'm cool in my own right.
Could you imagine that shit? Fucking Master Fawn?
I know,
Vigilante?
bro. We talked about this, man. Imagine you're sitting there doing some illegal shit, and then the lights flicker, and Master Fawn is there about to. You know you're done,
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
You're about to get to work.
You see a purple glow.
And then the roar of a fucking
Oh
crate
my
trap.
god,
Oh
dude!
my
I would.
god, that'd be so scary.
Yeah. And I think like a big part of the reason why I wanted to bring attention to like she's not wearing concealing robes anymore is like she's covered, but like she's a lot scarier now.
Mhm.
Like it's not like, oh,
I need to do the Jedi thing.
Sage Master Fawn. It's like
It's
oh,
a Detta,
shit.
bro.
Like if
Is
I
that
don't
a
think
skull
I don't
as a
think-
shoulder plate?
I don't think I ever like brought attention to it much, but like she does have like scarring on her face. Like she's
Spooky looking.
like she's
She's gonna run
she's
the
tight.
smoke, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna get the
Threatening
pause.
aura.
like lights flicker, she's behind you. You're peeing your pants and you're running. Like it's not. Yeah. So she keeps in touch with you guys though from time to time,
I like to think we all do.
but she definitely doesn't like hang around
Jedi
the
anymore.
Jedi temple anymore.
It was a phase.
It's just a little too much.
I feel that.
Also, I didn't say this, and I should have. But she got reprimanded by the Jedi Council
For the leg.
for the leg, yeah, for putting you guys in danger.
I'm just seeing the scene where they're
For
just like
bringing us
playing
to a
that
arena.
like, in the
Jedi,
back.
what the fuck?
And they were like,
On live TV?
With nothing but a glass of water.
She was water bending, slowly cutting through.
Talk about splash damage, am I right?
so she was on probation basically, and she's just like, you know what, fuck this shit. Like
If I can't
You
cut
can't
people's
fire
legs
me,
off for the better
I
of the
quit.
world.
I quit. Yeah. So
God. Okay. So Daisy does stick around with the Jedi Order because she feels like she owes her survival and just the life that she's lived to the Jedi. And so she ends up being really good with a lightsaber. And so she teaches younglings. They're adorable. And this one particular class has a few little younglings in there. There's one that's just grumpy all the time. Always complaining about, like, I want to learn the Makashi duelist technique. Like, there's another one that just kind of doesn't really want much to do with the lightsaber. And there's another one that just kind of fucks around with the lightsaber too much. Just not really listening when we're trying to teach her to use certain techniques and just all around being kind of crazy. And then I don't know how to tell stories, so that's it. I don't know. This isn't gonna flow well. But like, and then so this is what she's telling like Master Fawn and like the others when she catches up with them. She's like, hey, well, I don't know if she talks to Senyak. Probably not, because every time she thinks she sees Senyak, she goes around the corner. And then, there's no one there, so maybe she's just seeing things. But when she talks to Master Fawn or Kairos, like she likes to tell them about the students.
That's super sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Yeah.
I feel like Daisy would be a good teacher because she's like actually like patient, unlike Master Fawn. He's just angry all the time.
So, on that wholesome note, let's end the season.
Oh,
Oh man.
okay.
It always
All
feels
right.
So surreal.
I'm tearing up.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Bye,
All right.
rejects.
Later,
Okay.
rejects.
Later. See you next time.
Or whatever.